Mr. Ghosn, thank you so much for having taken the time for our interview. I'm working with TBS, and I'm now making the story about the so-called hostage justice system in Japanese judicial system. In Japan, the wording hostage justice has once again attracted people's attention. Most recently, because the judge at the Tokyo District Court ruled that arrest, detention, and indictment of the firm's three executives was illegal, and ordered the central government and the Tokyo metropolitan government to pay 160 million yen in damages to machine manufacturing company for wrongly accusing it of violating export control regulation. Mr. Ghosn, in light of your own experience, do you feel that you were held hostage? Who held you as a hostage? And why do you think you were held hostage?
Yeah, well, without any doubt, I was hostage. Who held me hostage? Well, a group of people, prosecutors, the special division of the prosecutors of Tokyo, with a few executives in Nissan who collided to make this arrest. So why? Because what you're seeing today, the alliance collapsed. The alliance between Renault and Nissan and Mitsubishi was supposed to go further. We were supposed to have Fiat and Chrysler joining us in January, and they stopped everything. And they found the best way to stop it was to put me out of the game. So normally, you put somebody out of the game by going through a board meeting and voting against this person. But in this case, it was a coup where you could not oust a chairman of the board in a very normal way by voting against him. You use the prosecutor office to make the arrest.
Wow. So you said the alliance was collapsed.
It is collapsed today. There is no alliance.
Okay.
There is no alliance. The companies are not working anymore together. There is a kind of show of cooperation, but Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi, as you know, in 2007, 2018, were the #1 automaker in the world. Today, they are way below in terms of sales, in terms of profits, and in terms of growth. It makes me very sad to see that the company has fell down so low.
But it's a very simple question. Why Japanese prosecutor's office targeted you?
Yeah, I have to ask you the question. I don't understand. I was surprised. If I had any doubt that something like this would happen in Japan, I would just have resigned. Why do I want all these problems? Okay? I am very surprised, but I discovered through my experience that in this wonderful country of Japan, with plenty of talent and plenty of good things, there is also a dark side. And this dark side particularly is this hostage justice system, which is totally controlled by the prosecutors.
Okay. Still now I remember at the Haneda airport, you were arrested by the Japanese prosecutors, and only Asahi newspaper can get the picture of your image. I was very surprised. Why the Asahi newspaper only could catch your images? I'm wondering still now. Maybe from the prosecutor's office gave the newspaper some kind of the information, so they can do that.
Yeah, without any doubt. Without any doubt.
Oh, okay. So, in Japan, it has the it had become customary for the public prosecutors and the police officers to arrest the suspects and detain them for a long period of time without defending lawyer. It's unbelievable thing. It's a so-called the progressive country. Is it true? What's your comment on that system, the judicial?
No, it's very unique to a democratic country. Obviously, in countries which are not democratic, in dictatorship, when you arrest somebody, it's a dictatorship. That means you can remain in prison for as long as the rulers want. But in a democratic country, there are rules. And most of the democratic country, or all the democratic country, if you arrest somebody, it has to be for a very short period of time. And Japan has a system which frankly is absolutely not compatible with a democratic country. Because I've been arrested, usually the law allows you for 2 weeks. They made it 1 month by putting the same accusation but for 2 periods of time. These were all tricks used by the prosecutor to keep you as long as possible until they come with new charges on you. But frankly, it's a game which is very well organized in the prosecutor office. You know, it looks like they have been practicing this on thousands of people, Japanese people, foreign people, and they do it very well. You know, they give you the impression that all of this is lawful, is legal, is well established, but in fact, it's all rigged. During my interrogation, the prosecutor who was interrogating me told me, I want you to confess. I want you to confess. I said, I'm going to confess why. I'm innocent of this so-called crime of non-declaring a compensation that was neither decided nor paid. Okay? I said, I'm innocent. He said, Mr. Ghosn, if you do not confess, we're going to look for everything, and we're going to come with new charges. And these new charges are going to involve your family. It's going to involve your friends. All of this is taped. You know, you have a tape of what he said. When newspaper asked for the tapes, prosecutors said, no, this is very sensitive information. We cannot release the tape. So the whole system is rigged. You have no lawyers. The interrogation are supposed to be taped. But the tapes are in the hand of the prosecutor, and the prosecutor will never release the tape as long as these tapes incriminate and illustrate the way they behave.
Oh, still now you have some traumatic memory. The very impolite or lewd was an action by prosecutors.
Let me tell you, that means my trauma didn't come from the behavior of the prosecutors. You know, it didn't come. My trauma came from the fact that I served Nissan for 19 years. I revived Nissan. I brought Nissan to the top level of the industry. I served Japan for 19 years. I was calling for investment in Japan. I was at a certain point in time in the advisory council of Koizumi-san to bring foreign direct investment in Japan. I was participating in many meetings in Davos about Japan to try to make Japan as attractive as possible. I never thought one moment that after 19 years of good services and good results, I would be treated this way. Never thought. This was the biggest trauma I got.
So still now, you were on the wanted list by the Interpol.
No.
No?
Japan asked Interpol.
Japan
to
asked
put
Interpol.
me on the red notice. Interpol has nothing against me. Interpol is a kind of black box. Japan asked Interpol, Interpol execute. There is nothing in Interpol against me. It's Japan who asked Interpol to locate me. They know where I am. Arrest me and extradite me to Japan. Except that Lebanon do not extradite its citizens. They do not. So they said to Japan, please, because you want justice to be made, bring the file to Lebanon so we can judge Mr. Ghosn and see if he is innocent or if he is guilty. But the prosecutor don't want to send any file. They don't want to send any file.
But you're restricted strongly, severely from the moving freely abroad. What are the most troublesome aspects of your daily life?
Look, I traveled a lot in my life. I was one of the most traveled executive of leader in the world. I visited many countries. And now for the last 4 years, I'm enjoying a very stable life in a country that I like. I like Lebanon. There is a very good life in Lebanon. It's a beautiful country. People are warm. They are hospitable. Obviously, there is a financial crisis and there are some political risks on the border. We should not ignore that. But I'm having a life which is extremely calm here, particularly surrounded by people who respect me and respect what I represent.
The following question is difficult for me to ask you. As a journalist, I believe that the fact that you escaped Japan in an illegal manner, it's like a spy movie, has had a major impact on the Japanese public opinion in Japan. So, would you like to say that the Japanese public opinion on you?
Yeah. Well, look, public opinion of Japan is biased. It's biased. Why? Because all the communication is coming from the prosecutors and from Nissan. So they listen only to one side of the story. They don't listen to my story. Everything is done to keep my story in the dark. But they listen to the prosecutor and to Nissan's story, which is a fake story. It's a fake story. In every plot, you have a fake story. And this is a fake story. So, when I was in Japan, I asked a question: how many years for me to be tried for the trial? My lawyers told me, because the judge wants to make trials not together but consecutive, because there were many charges, they said, you're going to have 8 to 9 years of trials. Okay, 8 or 9 years to trial.
8 or 9 years.
Yeah, trials, of trials. Then I said, and during this period, if you remember, I could not talk to my wife, I could not see my wife, I could not have some of my children visiting me. So the perspective of staying 8 to 9 years in Japan without being able to talk to my wife, see some of my children, it was too much. I was hostage. And I was hostage not only of the prosecutor, but also of the judge who accepted this very harsh condition for somebody who is still innocent until found guilty. Okay? So I was treated during this period as already guilty. Okay? I could not accept that. I cannot play a game which is rigged against me. I'm not going to play this game. So I understand public opinion is a little bit shocked. But the public opinion, unfortunately, doesn't know the whole story. And the public opinion of Japan still doesn't know what kind of system, of hostage system they have in their country, which in my opinion is deeply detrimental to the development of Japan and even to the benefit of the public of Japan. Because I'm not talking about my case. You have thousands of Japanese every year who go through the hostage justice system in Japan, and nobody talk about them. It's very, very rare that we talk about them. Recently, I'm very happy to see that the press started to attract the attention on the kind of irresponsible behavior of the prosecutor, using a unique power they have to really ignore even the facts in order to obtain what they think is the conclusion of the case. They are not looking for truth, they just want to win the case, no matter what.
I worked in a Japanese TV station as a reporter, and long time ago I covered the so-called the biggest international scandal, Lockheed scandal. At that time I covered the Japanese prosecutor's office. And frankly, in my memory, you said the Japanese prosecutor's office has the unique power. But at that time, I can't imagine they have the unique power. They did some kind of the justice to save the country. At that time, I think so. I thought. But now, I changed my mind. And the victim of the Japanese judicial system I met, I did the interview. The Japanese very famous case of the accusation by the Japanese prosecutor's office. One of the very famous case was almost more than a half century Hakamada trial. He was sentenced to death penalty, but now the Japanese court, the retrial of that the case.
After 50 years.
Yeah, after 50 years.
I am not willing to wait 50 years for justice to be made. I'm not going to wait. So I think for the sake of Japan, for the sake of reputation of Japan, for the sake of the development of Japan, this hostage justice system should be abolished and replaced by a much more democratic and fair system where the prosecutor and the lawyers are on equal standing and the judge is above. You have a system today where the prosecutor is above, the judge, frankly, from my own experience, is a kind of appendix of the prosecutor. It's a kind of appendix of the prosecutor. And then you have the defense lawyers who know that they have no power, they have no influence, and who take any single little piece of justice that the judge wants to give them. Frankly, it's pitiful. It's pitiful. I never imagined that Japan, this big country, this big economy, would have such a conservative and dark justice system. Particularly, as you know, that they added the guilty plea system, where somebody can accuse you and then be protected by the prosecutor, which make this system totally uncontrollable.
I also interviewed Mr. Greg Kerry. He is now in Tennessee in the U.S., and he said, I never want to return to Tokyo or Japan.
I understand.
Yeah, and he told me that he was innocent, but in last year in Tokyo District Court declared him guilty. What's the message to Minister?
I think it's tragic because, look, this case, because he was accused of complicity in non-declaring a compensation, which is not his compensation, which is my compensation. Okay, this is the big crime he committed. It took 3 years. 3 years in Japan. He stayed 3 years in Japan. Okay, 2 months in prison and 3 years held in Japan. His wife could stay with him on the condition that she goes to university. She had to go to university, go to a course to learn Japanese, because if not, they would not give her a visa. Okay, 3 years, and then after 3 years, there were many counts in his accusation. he was innocent of all the counts, except one, that in 2018 he was aware of certain things he should have declared. That's his big crime. And they give him 6 months suspended sentence. And you know that he's appealing the rule. Frankly, for me, it looks like there is nothing in this case. He is innocent, and it is a face saving from the judge to say he's guilty with 6 months suspended sentence, and now there is an appeal going on. You know, the problem of Japan, the problem that there is in Japan is not so much, obviously the prosecutors have a power that should never be allowed, but the judges, most of the judges, are very accomplices of the prosecutors. I've seen it myself. That means the person who was supposed to judge me, I've seen him during pre-trial periods. We had many pre-trial. His attitude was totally biased toward the prosecutor. I mean, anything we could ask for was rejected. We asked to change the translator because we could not understand. He refused. The translator was here for me and Greg Kelly. That's all. We said we don't understand the translator. He's not good enough. He refused to change the translator. I asked to be able to talk to my wife or to allow my wife to come. Everything is refused, which means for me the judge in this case, and in many cases probably in Japan, are accomplices of the system. Instead of being on top of the system and looking for justice and truth, they collide with the prosecutor, and in my opinion, they are killing the sense of justice and they are killing the image that Japan has, certainly with the foreign people.
Okay, so I think you have the supportive family. I know that your wife was arrested by a Japanese prosecutor's office.
Yeah.
Still now, I remember. And because I just one time I saw your wife in Tokyo. And I was very shocked. Oh, wow, the Japanese prosecutor did such a things. But you have the supportive family. What do they think of the current situation around you?
Yeah, I mean, my family, or even you can interrogate people here in Lebanon, they are all shocked because all of them has a very good image of Japan. They consider Japan as a great country. They consider that Japanese people are great people. So when something like this happens, this image of Japan falls down. How can Japan allow this kind of unfair and unjust treatment? Not for anybody, but for somebody who served Japan without interruption for 19 years, not even giving him the benefit of the doubt. They are shocked in a certain way, and they are sad because my family loved Japan. They lived in Japan. They have a lot of friends in Japan. They have been to school in Japan. They like Japanese food. They like Japanese culture. They like Japanese artists. But this is a kind of cancer. This hostage justice system is a cancer which is eating the healthy cells of the Japanese society.
You have a good relationship with the Japanese ordinary people.
Yes.
You love the Japanese culture.
Yes.
And finally, Mr. Ghosn, finally, do you have any message to the Japanese ordinary citizen of Japan?
Yes. Well, first,
at this point.
Yeah, at the end of the year, I wish the Japanese citizen a great year 2024, a very successful one. But I think it is in the interest of the ordinary citizen to change the hostage justice system in Japan, because it is the ordinary citizen who is going to be the victim of this system. Because when they're going to be in front of the prosecutor, they will be defenseless. Now, in my case, I was known in the world. So when I was arrested, all the newspaper spoke about it, and in a certain way, there was some kind of restraint about how I was treated, okay? Some restraint. But I worry about the common Japanese citizen falling into the trap of a prosecutor for any reason. There is no defense. There is no defense. These guys have all the powers. And on top of this, you know very well that defending yourself in Japan is very expensive. Finding lawyers and finding things. And most of people cannot pay for that. So they fall into the trap of the confession. The prosecutor is putting the deal immediately in front of you. Look, you confess, and then we deal gently with the issue. You don't confess, you're going to regret it. They did it with me. It's taped. It's taped. But they don't want to release the tape. It's obvious that their objective is not finding the truth. Their objective is scoring a win with the confession, because their career depends on this. The prosecutor who was interrogating me was more worried about his career and what his superior was thinking about him than about the truth. He doesn't care about the truth. He wanted all the arguments to be able to indict you so he can score a win and he can get a promotion. That's what whole the system is about. And this is very dangerous because there is no counterpower. There is no lawyer to put a limit to this. And unfortunately, the judge, as I told you, in my opinion, in all the cases I've seen, is more an accomplice of the prosecutor than above the prosecutor and the lawyers.
Back to the so-called justice, hostage justice system in Japan. I'm wondering, your case, why Japanese prosecutor's office involved you. I think your case is, in my words, it's the power struggle within the Nissan company.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But this is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Why Japanese
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Why the prosecutor get involved into a power struggle inside the company? Yes. Because they are being manipulated to go one side against another side. And it's not even to the benefit of the company. Because look at where Nissan was in 2018 and look where Nissan is today. The sales are down, the profits are down, the company has no vision about the future. It became what Nissan was before 1999, okay? So it's a mystery for me why the prosecutor played this game. Why the prosecutor did not call me, sit down, Mr. Ghosn, there is this doubt on you, let's talk about it in a very gentle manner, and if there is something wrong, let's please adjust it. Not at all. They arrested me. They went in all my house. They committed many crimes in Lebanon here, forcing the houses, taking documents, stealing documents. It's like a kind of mafia organization where the prosecutor accepted to do illegal stuff outside Japan in order to obtain what they want. It's a win. It's a confession and a win. And they didn't get a confession from me, so they wanted a win.
I remember your case took place under the Abe administration.
Yes.
And at that time, the prosecutor's office was very controlled, secretly controlled by the cabinet.
Yeah, sure. And you know that the minister of Metis was Mr. Kono at that moment, and Kono was against the alliance. He was against the French interference. He said it many times that, and he was right, by the way, that the French government was meddling too much with Renault and meddling too much with Nissan. And he was right. But frankly, going to the conclusion that we should stop the alliance and we should get rid of me so we can give more autonomy to Nissan was the wrong conclusion. And the conclusion that cost a lot to me, obviously, to the companies, and also to the image of Japan. Because if I was a foreigner and somebody proposed to me to go to work in Japan, I wouldn't go. after I see a story like mine, I wouldn't go. Because I said, if anybody come and accuses me of something that I do not control, I can stay in the country for years without any defense.
Okay, so just one thing, your former defending lawyer, the Hironaka Junichiro.
Yeah, Hironaka, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good person.
Yeah, I have a good relationship.
Yeah, he's a very good person. Very honest. This is for me the good Japan. The Japan I respect. People like Hironaka-san. Very authentic, very high level of integrity. And he was shocked when he knew I escaped Japan. But he said something very clear. He said, I do not agree with him, but I understand him. Okay, which, as you know, in a very subtle manner, was saying it all.
After you escaped Japan, I had a meeting with him, and I felt he was very shocked, and
I know. Yeah, he was not shocked by the fact I escaped. He was shocked by the way the prosecutors tried to attack him, that he was responsible for this, that he was aware of that, which is totally wrong. He was aware of nothing. You know very well that if I want my plan of escape to be successful, I had to be totally confidential. Nobody should know about it. And that's why it was successful. So there is no way the lawyers in Japan would know that I was planning to escape. But he has been harassed for a long time, I know, by the prosecutor, trying to prove against any evidence that somehow he was involved into the escape, which he was not.
Okay, just a last question. Back to the Japanese hostage justice system in judicial in Japan. What would you like to say to the ordinary Japanese citizens? What should we do? What think about? What do we?
I think the ordinary Japanese public should demand to change the law which regulate the prosecutor and establish a system much more balanced between the prosecutor and the defense lawyer, and not allow the system to work where if the prosecutor doesn't have a win, it's bad for his career, because the prosecutor, he is here to seek the truth, not to make a win, to seek the truth for justice. That's what's asked for the prosecutor, to try to find if there is any reason to bring this in front of the judge. So my opinion is you need to change the law. This can be changed by law. The diet is under the responsibility of the people. People vote, and this, in my opinion, should be the object of a new law to regulate the prosecutor, change the hostage justice system. You have many lawyers fighting against the system for many, many years. They know what needs to be done. Just do it, just vote for it and change the whole picture. And it's not only about foreigners and executives and company, it's for the good standing of every single citizen, because you never know when you, as a citizen, will be involved into the hostage justice system. But then it is too late. Within the present law, you're going to be a victim, 100%.